Here's a story. In 2019, I was contacted to be a part of a PBS Nova documentary about Da Vinci. Doug, the director, wanted some clarifications on the technical part of the painting process, especially glazing and sfumato. So that's what I did. I got on camera and explained what sfumato is for the show. And I'll leave a link if you want to watch it because it's been released on YouTube now, by the way. But you know what? I realized that I never made a video about sfumato on this channel, and it's too bad because I still think that it can be useful for modern painters. And with this example here, I'm going to show you how I use some of the same timeless principles that are behind the sfumato technique. So here it is, a sfumato masterclass. And this video is presented to you by everyone supporting me on Patreon and every student of my courses. Thank you for supporting my work and making this video possible. So what is sfumato? The sfumato painting technique is a method used in art to create soft, hazy transitions between colors and tones, resulting in a subtle blending of edges and a sense of atmospheric perspective. The term sfumato comes from the Italian word sfumare, which means to evaporate or to fade out. The technique was famously employed by Leonardo da Vinci during the Renaissance. Leonardo showcases the masterful use of sfumato. However, this technique has been used by other artists throughout history as well, sometimes as a system, like with the followers of Leonardo, and sometimes less prominently, just here and there, like with Correggio, Giorgione, Vermeer, or Prudhon, for example. One important thing to note is that the sfumato is not a technique per se, it's a canonical order or a painting mode. To put it differently, it's a way of seeing rather than a method. It's a mindset rather than a technique. Basically, the sfumato is an approach you can follow, but there are a multitude of techniques that can help you achieve it. That's one of the key things that I tried to explain to Doug, the director of the PBS documentary, because first he had the impression that glazing and sfumato are more or less the same, but they're not. Glazing is a technique and sfumato is a canonical order, an approach if you prefer. And why canonical? Well, simply because during the Renaissance, artists sought to revive and emulate the artistic achievements of ancient Greece and Rome, and they aimed to depict the natural world and the human form in a realistic manner, while also incorporating elements of idealization and harmonious composition called canons. And sfumato emerged as one of the prominent canons defined by Renaissance artists to achieve these goals of beauty and ideal. To simplify, I'm still going to call this a technique for the rest of this video because it's just simpler this way, but you get the point. It's a bunch of techniques combined to reach an ideal. Leonardo da Vinci, one of the most influential figures of the Renaissance, extensively utilized the sfumato in his paintings. He merely coined the term. The sfumato is most visible in the Mona Lisa with the super soft, blurred, contoured, feathered edges. And Leonardo's innovative use of this technique not only added depth and realism to his work, but also conveyed a sense of mystery and captivated the viewers, and still does to this day. The canon status of the sfumato in the Renaissance also stems from its enduring influence on subsequent generations of artists. Renaissance art, with its emphasis on naturalistic techniques and humanistic themes, laid the foundation for much of Western art history. Sfumato, as a defining technique of this era, continued to be studied, emulated, and adapted by artists in the centuries that followed, cementing its place as one of the essential painting modes of the Renaissance. It was a highly regarded and widely employed technique during that period. It played a crucial role in achieving realism, depth, and mood in paintings, and its influence extended way beyond the Renaissance, shaping the trajectory of Western art altogether. In addition to sfumato, there are three other canonical painting modes of the Renaissance: chiaroscuro, Cangiante, and Union. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right. So here's an overview of each order and the differences between them. Chiaroscuro refers to the dramatic contrast between light and dark in a painting. Artists using chiaroscuro create a strong juxtaposition of light and shadow to enhance the three-dimensionality of volume and also create a more dramatic effect. By employing sharp transitions between light and dark, artists can achieve a heightened sense of realism and depth. Think Caravaggio, Georges de la Tour, Velázquez. Cangiante involves the use of changing or shifting colors to create a very strange visual effect. Artists using this technique don't necessarily use the shadow as something dark or simply brown or black, but they also have a hue shift in the shadow. Unlike Sfumato, which focuses on gradual transitions and blending of colors, Cangiante employs a distinct shift in hue. This technique was often used to paint drapery or fabric in Renaissance painting to really make them pop and glow from the distance. The artist would use a different color in the shadows rather than blending with a darker color. Cangiante allows for vibrant and striking variations in color within the composition. It's a pretty rare mode. It can be seen notably in the Sistine Chapel or in works by Pontormo. Union is the third order. It's unification, if you want. It involves the use of harmonious colors to create a balanced and unified composition. Think of the style of Raphael, a balanced combination of color and volume to create a sense of visual harmony by carefully selecting colors that complement each other. The Union technique aims to achieve a sense of order and visual balance in the painting. These different painting modes provided Renaissance artists with a wide range of techniques and approaches to create diverse and engaging works of art. Each order offers a unique way of representing form, space, light, and color, contributing to the rich artistic legacy of the Renaissance period. Today we can still see the influence of both chiaroscuro mainly and also sfumato, obviously. You can see that in films, photography, and I want to explore now how the sfumato approach can still be helpful for painters even to this day. So how can you achieve the sfumato look in your paintings? I'm going to focus on this technique alone here, but oil painting is obviously a lot more complex, so to follow this you might need to know more than what I have time to cover here, such as the use of mediums, paint preparation, etc. If you need to clear things out, you can check out my course, The Practical Guide to Oil Painting, because it has everything you need to get started, so just follow the link if you're interested. The sfumato approach was mainly defined by Leonardo in opposition to the way his friend Botticelli painted, with visible contour lines and sharp drawing-like edges all around the features of the face. It's almost like you can see the line. And this was the problem for Leonardo. And in opposition to this, Leonardo writes, "Be very careful in painting to observe that between the shadows there are other shadows almost imperceptible, both for darkness and shape. Those shadows are to be copied in your painting in the same manner, never to be precisely finished but left confused and blended." So to achieve this, you have several techniques that you can use. The most important is to soften the edges. Instead of using harsh, defined lines, the artist gradually transitions colors, blurring the edges between the different elements and the different shadow shapes. And this creates a sense of depth and atmosphere and gives this very round feeling. Another technique is to use multiple layers. You can build up layers of translucent paint over each other, gradually adding thin glazes to achieve the desired effect. You can also add semi-transparent paint, and by layering colors more and more on top of each other, you'll create something more and more complex and more subtle, getting smoother every time. And obviously, Sfumato is all about using brushes. It's all about focusing on creating seamless transitions and removing all brush marks as much as possible. You also need to use very subtle variation in value. Value, if you don't know, is the lightness or darkness of a color. And with Sfumato, you need to carefully control the gradation of values to achieve a soft, misty effect. It's all about really focusing on very softly transitioning from one part to another to really make it round, really caress the surface almost. The Sfumato approach is particularly effective in creating a realistic portrayal of the human face. Da Vinci obviously used it to depict the subtle nuances of light and shadow on the skin, resulting in a sense of depth, form, and a mysterious quality in his portraits. Overall, the Sfumato technique is characterized by its ability to create a sense of softness, ambiguity, and a dreamlike quality in paintings where you remove the nasty details that you don't need and just create this very hazy feeling. It allows artists to capture the subtle interplay of light, shadow, and atmosphere, resulting in a realistic and emotionally evocative representation of the subject matter. When it comes to brushes and painting mediums for the Sfumato technique, there are a few considerations to keep in mind. While personal preference and experimentation play a role in choosing the right tools, here are some of my recommendations. For your brushes, you want soft, natural brushes. Brushes with delicate bristles such as sable or synthetic equivalents are generally preferred for Sfumato because they allow for a smooth and controlled application of paint, a very soft, feathered touch, enabling the artist to achieve the subtle blending and soft transitions characteristic of this technique. Brushes with a fine tip and a good amount of flexibility can be particularly useful for detailed work. I personally really like to use small synthetic rounds, very soft and feathery. I think it's the best for details around the face at least. Round brushes are versatile and can be used for various Sfumato applications, from broad blending to finer details. Filberts can also be very helpful to achieve soft edges and smoothly blend colors. And you can also blend with bigger brushes, blending brushes. These brushes have a softer touch and can help create smooth transitions between different tones and areas. These wider brushes are better to incorporate the Sfumato in larger areas like the arm, the shoulders, but I still prefer to avoid big brushes for features of the face. Ultimately, the choice of brushes and painting medium for Sfumato depends on your personal preference, experience, and the specific effects you want to achieve. As I said, Sfumato is not a technique, it's not a recipe to follow, it's more a mindset, and you can achieve it with whatever you feel comfortable with. And it's important to experiment and find the combination of tools that works the best for you. And also, a very important thing, it's about controlling time. Sometimes the brush is not enough and you want to use the consistency of the paint to your advantage as well. Sometimes it's a good idea to wait for a few hours or maybe a day and blend the paint when it's just starting to dry, but just before it becomes unworkable. It will blend very effectively because it's less fluid this way, and color will spread more evenly. It's a cool trick in general. Blending is more even if the paint is slightly less fluid, and it helps if also the canvas has more tooth to even out the blended passages. That's also something to keep in mind. Also, if you want to paint with a perfect sfumato, you might not want to pick a canvas with a very thick grain and a lot of tooth. So you might want a panel with a super smooth gesso, so you'll have less tooth to blend evenly. And in this case, keep in mind that you can wait for the paint to just start drying and blend just before it starts to dry fully. It's a risky trick because if you arrive too late, you're going to damage your painting. So make sure to use very smooth brushes and try on a discrete area first. While the sfumato technique can be attempted with various painting mediums, oil paint is often favored for achieving the best results. If you go back to the Renaissance era, the sfumato could only be discovered after the invention of oil paint, as it was not achievable with tempera. Here are a few reasons why sfumato is commonly associated with oil paint rather than tempera, or for more modern techniques, watercolor, gouache, or acrylic. So the first thing is that oil paint has a slow drying time compared to other mediums, allowing artists more time to blend colors and achieve smooth transitions. The extended working time allows for greater control over the blending process, enabling the artist to create gradual and seamless transitions. Additionally, oil paint's translucency allows for layering, as multiple thin glazes can be applied to build up the desired effect. Sfumato relies on subtle variations of value and the interplay of light and shadow. Oil paint's inherent transparency and translucency make it very well suited for this technique. Transparent oil pigments allow the underlying layers to show through, contributing to the softness and depth of the painting. This quality is especially advantageous for achieving the subtle gradations and atmospheric effect that sfumato requires. Oil paint has a unique richness and depth that is highly valued by artists. It has a wide range of pigments and the ability to cover a very broad spectrum of colors and tones. This richness can greatly enhance the atmospheric and tonal qualities thought in sfumato. Oil paint's unique properties allows for the creation of luminous, nuanced effect that can be challenging to achieve with other mediums. Other mediums obviously can work. Watercolor, gouache, tempera, they can be used to attempt something like sfumato, but this will be much more challenging. Watercolor, acrylic, or gouache, for instance, dry quickly, and they do not offer the same level of blending and layering possibilities as oil paint. Tempera and acrylic, they have a faster drying time, which limits the subtle transitions and soft edges that one would require for sfumato. Ultimately, the choice of medium depends on your preference. However, due to its inherent properties of blending, layering, transparency, and texture, oil paint is often considered the most suitable medium for mastering the sfumato technique. Softening the edges is a key aspect of all the techniques contributing to the sfumato approach. because it contributes to the unique atmospheric quality of this approach. Rather than using sharp, well-defined lines to separate different elements in a painting, you're going to try to employ sfumato to create gradual transitions of colors and tones, resulting in very blurred edges. With a more traditional painting technique, you often use clear, crisp outline to define the boundaries between objects and elements within a composition. You might draw a contour line around features of the face. This approach is great. It provides a sense of clarity, sharpness. However, with the sfumato mindset, the emphasis is on creating a more subtle, realistic representation of the visual world. So you want things to be actually round like they appear in reality, because there are no lines in reality. By intentionally blurring the edges, you can achieve a sense of depth. This blurring effect mimics the way that our eyes actually perceive objects in the real world, where edges are very rarely sharply defined due to factors such as distance, lighting, just atmospheric conditions. Most of the time, the edges that we see are not that sharp. We think of them as sharp, but if you really look very carefully, most of what you see isn't really sharp. Only your brain makes it feel sharp. So what you want is to soften edges as much as possible, and for that you might employ various techniques. You can use brushes with soft bristles, even your fingers, but I don't really recommend this. You just want to gently blur the boundaries between different areas. That's very simple. You want to keep in mind that all the boundaries have to be seamless. The goal is to create a seamless and gradual transition of colors, resulting in a smooth, hazy appearance. And with this technique, you can create something that has a real sense of mystery and ambiguity. Softening edges allows for a subtle interplay of light and shadow, creating an illusion of depth. This effect also contributes to creating a better atmosphere and makes the subject feel less awkward somehow. It evokes a sense of mood and captures the transient nature of light and form. Da Vinci's masterful use of soft edges in works like the Mona Lisa, for example, exemplify the impact of this technique. The gradual blending of colors and the softness of the transitions contributes to the enigmatic and captivating nature of his paintings. This technique creates a sense of depth, atmosphere, and mystery by mimicking the way our eyes actually perceive the world. It contributes to the overall soft and hazy appearance of sfumato techniques, enhancing their realistic quality and evoking emotional responses from the viewer. So if you're a beginner and you're looking to incorporate the sfumato approach in your work and improve your paintings thanks to this sfumato mindset, here are some steps that you want to consider. First, you want to study with the best, study from the masters. So take the time to study the works of artists who have mastered the sfumato technique. Obviously, Leonardo da Vinci, but you can also see Proudhon, you can also see Vermeer. You can also see Correggio. You can analyze their use of soft edges, subtle gradations, and atmospheric effect. You can pay attention to how they were able to achieve this sense of depth and really this roundness, hazy feeling of form. The second thing you have to keep in mind is that the Sfumato heavily relies on blending and value transitions. You want to create depth and dimensions by really blurring out boundaries and removing all disturbing edges. But we'll see that you don't want to blur everything. You want to keep some slightly more sharp edges here and there, just for what is concerning the impression of roundness of the form. You really want to soften and feather everything really, really nicely to create this very round, very 3D effect. So you want to practice blending, you want to develop your blending skills, and you want to experiment with different brushes, and you want to find your key blending brush. Your fingers can be used here and there, but I really don't think that you should rely on that too much. What you want is practice blending and really find the key, your master brush that's going to allow you to create smooth transitions and avoid all visible brushstrokes. That's the key. Gradually build up layers and achieve this desired effects where you have a lot of paint stacked on top of each other, but you have no visible brush marks. That's one of the key elements of creating this smooth gradient. And one of the key things with Da Vinci inspired techniques is also atmospheric perspective. The Sfumato is closely linked to the concept of atmospheric perspective, which involves depicting depth and distance by incorporating changes in color, value, and hue. You can study how objects in the distance appear softer, lighter, and slightly more blue compared to those in the foreground. And you can incorporate these principles into your compositions to enhance the sense of depth and atmosphere, separating your subject from your background. And you can use this technique on various subjects. Sfumato obviously is often associated with portraiture, but you don't have to limit yourself to just that. You can explore anything from still life to landscapes or other subjects. Each subject offers unique challenges and opportunities to practice the same fundamental principles to achieve Sfumato: blending, softening edges, and atmospheric effects. Sfumato requires patience and requires a lot of time, a very careful approach, because it involves building up layers very slowly and very meticulously refining the transitions. So you need to allow yourself the time to learn this, but also to practice it. You need to pay close attention to the details and to smooth out every transition with a very soft and precise touch. That's quite a challenge. So you need to have the right kind of attitude and mindset to be capable of doing that. And you need to love observation. Sfumato is rooted in a careful observation of light and volume. And you have to train your eyes to see the subtle nuances in the subject matter you are painting. Study how light falls on the object. Notice the very soft transitions between colors and observe how the environment affects the overall atmosphere. The sfumato approach can be particularly beneficial for painters who tend to paint too tight, with many soft brush strokes, the opposition between tight versus loose. By incorporating sfumato, a tight painter can explore something that looks more like a loosely painted thing, even though it's still done with a lot of control and still with very, very tight and precise brushstrokes, which is what defines a tight painter. Because the sfumato encourages artists to blur and soften the edges, this approach can help break away from the need to delineate every detail and will create a more organic and natural representation. By intentionally blurring edges, you can introduce a sense of softness and depth, which can compensate for this sometimes feeling that everything is just too sharp in a very tight painting style. Sfumato involves blending and smudging colors and tones to achieve seamless transitions, and this technique can help painters move away from making too many individual tight brushstrokes and create something more integrated and harmonious. Basically, it's taking the tight approach and pushing it to a point where it makes sense inside something harmonious and atmospheric, and gently blending colors together. It's very, very tight, but with this sfumato approach, you can achieve a softer and more blended effect, which will reduce the appearance of very small, sharp brush marks. It will create a smoother overall appearance. It will also help you embrace gradations. You can develop a better understanding of tonal relationships and achieve a sense of depth and volume in your work. If you think that you're too tight in your painting style, this approach can encourage you to have a more nuanced and subtle handling of values while staying very, very tight in the essence of what you're doing. It will allow you to get a softer touch, a more atmospheric feeling in the end. And that's sometimes what doesn't work with tight painting, is doesn't feel atmospheric, doesn't feel coherent. And with the sfumato in mind, you involve a lot of depth, a lot of distance control, you incorporate changes in color, value, and detail. And by incorporating this principle, you won't really loosen up your brushwork, but you will have a better sense of this organic feeling, this natural sense of volume, this natural atmosphere in your painting. If you think that you're too tight and that you don't really manage to find a way to really loosen up, you can try this sfumato because it can add a sense of mystery, mood, and emotional depth to a painting, allowing for a greater range of emotions and also the storytelling of how the atmosphere encompasses everything. The softness and ambiguity created through sfumato can enhance the impact and rechange the nature of your painting. You go from something super tight to something soft and atmospheric and mysterious. So incorporating this sfumato approach in your work, if you feel that you paint too tightly, it can help not to loosen up, but it will help to embrace a more expressive style that's much closer to the actual nature of your painting sensibility. It will provide you with a way to explore a more blended and subtle approach while still maintaining control and achieving a realistic representation. Basically, the sfumato for a tight painter is going to the extreme but making something good out of it. You are embracing the fact that you are a tight painter, and with practice and experimentation, you'll find a balance between control and expressiveness, resulting in more dynamic and engaging artworks. The final thing is, I don't think that anyone should use the sfumato everywhere and distinctively. It's better if the sfumato is considered as a tool among others to add focus to a painting. Not everything has to be hazy and blurry. Some key focus points can still be sharp, as can be seen in many of Da Vinci's work. Using the sfumato technique selectively on specific areas while employing normal painting techniques for the rest of the artwork can create an engaging contrast and draw attention to the focal points that you want your viewer's eye to go to. By applying the sfumato technique to only a few key areas, such as the main subject or a specific point of interest, you can create a sense of depth and make those areas visually stand out. The soft edges, atmospheric effects, and subtle transitions achieved through sfumato can add an interesting quality. And in contrast, a sharp feature within a sfumato context will naturally pop out and look very captivating. The contrast between the areas painted with sfumato and those rendered with, normal painting techniques can create a really visually interesting effect and variety, a lot of variety in your art. This soft atmospheric quality of the sfumato juxtaposed with the more defined and textured areas of other painting styles can result in a very visually dynamic composition. And this contrast can engage the viewer and add a sense of tension, intrigue to the painting. Using sfumato selectively allows you to guide the viewer's gaze and direct the attention to the most important part of the artwork. By employing soft, blended edges in specific areas, you can create some sort of visual path that leads the viewer's eyes to the focal point. This controlled use of sfumato can enhance the composition's narrative and storytelling by ensuring that the viewer's attention is focused on what's intended to attract attention. And let's be honest, it's also about managing time and effort. Sfumato requires a patient and meticulous approach. It's very slow, very tedious, and it involves carefully blending and layering the colors. By using this technique selectively, just only on a few areas, you can focus on managing your time and effort on that area that really would truly benefit from a sfumato treatment. This approach allows you to achieve the desired atmospheric and soft qualities only on the most crucial parts of the painting while still maintaining efficiency and productivity in other areas. Let's face it, if you want to sfumato everything in your painting, you're going to need a lot of time, just like Da Vinci with the Mona Lisa. And you can also choose to balance realism and expressiveness. Sfumato is often associated with a realistic rendering of form and space, and paradoxically, it's blurry, but it's experienced as something rather sharp by the viewer's eye compared to normal or loose brushstrokes. By using this technique selectively, you can strike a balance between the soft blended approach and more expressive textured brushwork in other areas. For example, use sfumato for the face and thick, loose impasto brushstrokes for the background. That's an idea. That's one thing to explore, but there are so many. At least that's it for this video. If you want to watch another painting video, you can click here. Huge thank you to everyone supporting my work on Patreon. This video wouldn't be possible without your support. If you want to join the community, the link is in the description. You'll also find the links to both my courses, my oil painting course and my kata course. Alright, that's it for today, my friends, and as always, joy and inspiration to you. Bye.